Well, I would just tell you what I told you the other night, and that is how proud I am of our club. And I said that if we'd come in here and lost that game, I would say the same thing. Arkansas was a fabulous club. The tournament was, I thought all the teams here were outstanding. But what I will tell you is that the guys in the Oregon State locker room allowed myself and our coaching staff to push them to the limit many, many times, create an expectation that their successes would go beyond the baseball field and they'd go on in life, and they'd create a brotherhood and a love for one another that wouldn't be broke. And, they say that wise men plant trees that the shade they'll never see. And so these guys leave a legacy for the next guys that come in. And I told them today, I said, this is the last time we will ever put this uniform on together as a team. So when you hang it up, you make sure the guy that wears that number next time knows who you are. Love these guys.
Okay, we'll have questions now for the student athletes. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Again, tell us who you are, your affiliation, and to whom you're directing the question. And we'll start here, Dewey.
Dwight James, NBC Sports Northwest. Kevin, what was your expectation of yourself today? Did you come out figuring a certain amount of innings or pitches or anything like that?
My job was to go as far as I could, whether it was 3 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings, didn't matter. Just go out there and make pitches and get as many outs as I could and then hand it over to the next guy.
You did that.
Yes.
Thanks, Pepper Alley.
Don't stop it.
Come on, we gotta have a little
I've
fun.
lost control of these
Have a
things.
little fun. Let's go.
I've lost control of these things
Now this
before.
guy's been here 15 days,
I have too, Jim.
Jim
Jim
Callis.
hasn't.
What's that?
Jim hasn't been here 15 days.
I haven't. I came in for the end. Jim Callis from MLB.com for Adley. I mean, you've obviously caught Kevin all year. How do you think his stuff compared today to what you've seen all year? And just, what an incredible role he was on here in Omaha. 4 games, 4 wins.
I mean, coming in as a freshman, it's tough. Pitching is a tough deal. And, Kevin's always had unbelievable stuff. I think that just the strides he's made mentally are unbelievable. And, that's the toughest part to improve in the game of baseball is mental side. So, just to see how he's progressed, and, the outing he had today was, nothing short of amazing. I'm super proud of him. And, I think he's going to do big things. It's just unbelievable. And I feel so fortunate to be able to catch him.
Aaron Fitt. Teddy.
Teddy Cahill, Baseball America. Trevor, when you think back to where this team was in April at the start of Pac-12 play to where you are now, just what kind of developments have you seen from this team over the last couple months?
Well, first I just want to start by saying it all starts with Coach Casey and the staff. As soon as we get on campus, they really enforce the mentality that you need to win a national championship. They enforce it every single day. And when we went through adversity, injuries, losses, just kept saying the same thing. And we kept developing, we kept getting better, kept winning, and we finally finished the job.
Aaron.
Thank you, Bill. Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball. Trevor, when you think back to where you guys were like 24 hours ago, you're 1 strike away, from having your season ended to where you are right now. Is that sunk in yet? Just how incredible that turnaround is, and what's that feeling like?
Toss-up of emotions, man. That's all I got to say. Once that ball dropped, I said to myself, we're not done. And Keton put up one of the biggest battles I've ever seen this year and came through in the clutch, and I was fortunate enough to go up there and help us out. But winning this natty, everything we've gone through, every adversity, every single thing that this year has put us through, well worth it. And the relationship with these guys is even better.
Okay, we've got John back here.
John Nantawa with the Omaha World Herald. Kevin, you guys scored 2 in the first and 1 in the third, and I think the next 2 innings when you came out there, it was the shutdown inning. I guess just how important was it to keep the momentum in your dugout? I know it's always important, but today especially, and I wonder too, Adley, if you could address that. Just you jumped on them early. How important was it to kind of just, again, sort of keep the momentum on your side in a game like this?
Comeback zeros are a big thing that our staff emphasizes. We score a run, it's go get a zero and keep the momentum on our side, because odds are we're going to score again the next inning. So those are big. You know, go out there, get the leadoff guy, and that's usually a good start. And just go out there and make pitches. And you know, I was very appreciative that they decided to score early this game. You know, I know this team can really hit, and you know, we had some things not, you know, go our way the first couple games, but man, this team can hit. That's for sure.
Adley?
Yeah, I think, you know, after last night, you know, I think our team felt pretty confident. You know, our team's always confident, but I think, you know, just have that momentum. I think our team kind of felt that, and you know, coming into today, scoring early, I think you saw that, just that, you know, that desire, that will to win. You know, from that first inning, and you know, just stayed steady throughout the game. Kevin, you know, obviously put out a great outing for us, and you know, just to keep those, you know, one-run innings, you know, keep them going throughout the game. I think that was big, and especially that last one at the end. You know, huge AB by Zach Taylor.
Okay, Teddy?
Adley, was that your football training at the end of the game? And when was the last time you put that good of a hit on somebody?
I was just trying to get Kevin to the ground safely. You know, obviously I'm going to put a little form into it if I can. You know, got to show the football side a little bit, even though I'm a washed-up vet. But, you know, I think just, you know, it's a flood of emotions and you don't really remember it. And just, you know, fortunate to be able to do it.
I haven't taken a hit like that since 8th grade.
He's a kicker.
I enjoyed the run-in.
Mike?
Hey guys, Mike Patterson, Omaha World Herald. Any one of the players can answer this. Just talk about the resilience of this team. You guys played a lot of elimination games here at the CWS. Do you play better when your backs are against the wall?
Who'd you say this was for? Who'd you say this was for?
No, who do you want the answer from?
Oh yeah, no, we picked you because you're
Freshman.
Jeff?
This team fights the same way every day. You know, at practice and in fall in Arizona and at the start of the season. It doesn't matter what day it is. You know, they fight just as hard as they do as we did today. You know, and yesterday. I mean, I guess we play pretty well with our backs against the wall. It's not where we wanted to be, but you know, we got it done. You know, we always joke around and call these the grinder grays because they got us through. So. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay, Jim?
Jim Callis from Emily.com for Trevor and Adley. I mean, last year obviously had to be a huge disappointment to be 56-4 and get so close to being in the championship game and not have it happen. Can you compare how you felt leaving Omaha last year to how you're going to feel leaving Omaha this year for both of you?
Trevor, you start.
I've said this probably 100 times tonight. An undescribable feeling. You know, as soon as that last play was made, I just got goosebumps and came in and ran and probably jumped the highest I've ever jumped. But that was a jump of joy, and you know, last year left a salty taste in our mouth, and every single person that was on the team probably remembers that. And you know, ever since then we started breaking on finish to finish the job, and we sure did finish.
Adley?
I mean, that's exactly right. You know, last year coming up, you know, having the season we had last year was, you know, was phenomenal. But to come up short, you know, there was that missing piece at the end that, you know, you can never get back, and you know, you don't know if you're ever going to make it back to Omaha. This place is a special place, but you know, to come through the losers bracket, you know, play 8 games, maximum amount here, you know, having everyone step up at the right time when we needed them to. I mean, it just makes everything so much better because, you know, real testament to the guys on our team. You know, we got a lot of good, you know, baseball players on our team, but they're better people.
Okay, Mike?
Mike Banana, Baseball America. Kevin, other than getting tackled by him, working with Adley, I mean, what is it like for you just to have a catcher like that, you know, as polished as he is behind the plate, and I also just watching the run support that he puts up and the offensive ability that he has too?
It's very, very, very nice to have. You know, a guy gets on base and it's like, you know, well, go ahead and steal. You know, do us a favor. But you know, he steals strikes better than anyone. He probably stole about 25 from me tonight, and he was phenomenal. You know, he kept the ball in front of him, and he's just unreal. You know, he's very calm. You know, he's really matured himself. You know, just being able to come calm us down and talk to us and help us through, you know, tough situations. And then he just rakes. He just hits the ball. Doesn't matter who it is, what side of the plate. He just hits, and he's been a big spark for us this year. And I've never seen anything like that. So it's awesome.
We have time for one more question for the student athletes. Go with Dwight.
Dwight James, NBC Sports Northwest. Can you tell us, Kevin, two-part question. Number one, how many times have you gone 9 innings in your career?
0.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and second part, can you take us through your outing a little bit? It's hard to tell from the press box. Did you have a little trouble with your breaking ball at times? And if so, what did you do to combat that?
I didn't really have the curveball, you know, to start the game, and we didn't even call it probably innings 3 through 6, I want to say, 6 or 7. But, you know, just fastball command and then throwing the changeup off it, you know, just overlaying the two. But I guess, you know, curveball came around at the end, and I went up to Yeski and said that I wanted to throw an 0-0 curveball to Martin, you know, because I wanted to keep the feel for it because we hadn't thrown it in a while. And I figured he was sitting fastball, and he swung really, really hard and just missed it. So that was good. And that's kind of when it turned around for me. I just kind of just kept feeding him in there, and they kept working.
Adley, do you have a dissenting view?
You know, this guy went 9 innings, complete shutout in the biggest game of the year, and he says he didn't have his best stuff. I'm just baffled right now. It says how good he's going to be.
Thanks, man.
He's a great pitcher.
Guys, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go celebrate.
Will do.
Okay. Now questions for Pat. Thanks, Adley.
Thanks. I didn't like that. I'll stay linebacker more.
Okay, buddy. Okay. Don't mess with kickers here.
Jim Callis from MLB.com. Pat, I mean, you've obviously won national championships before and been here several times. Can you remember having 2 players like Kevin and Adley who it seemed every time they took the field or took the mound had a huge performance night after night after night?
Well, it was pretty special. I mean, Kevin was halfway through the year, you know, we were, you know, pulling our hair trying to get him in the zone because his stuff was so good. And I remember we were down in Arizona and he had a tough outing, and, you know, we just kept telling him how good he could be, and mentally he made some great adjustments. But, you know, I don't recall everything that happened. I can tell you that Jonah Nickerson was a warrior here in 2006. I know he shut out Rice, and he got us our first win ever in the College World Series in 2006 against Georgia. And so I remember that pretty good. Mitch Cannon was the catcher, and they were, you know, he ended up being a first rounder. So, but that, you know, what they did here was, it'll be remembered for a long time.
Teddy.
Pat, I know those couple weekends in April were tough, but I mean, where did the strength come from on this team to power through that and to close the regular season as well as you did, and then finish here in Omaha?
Well, I think the character of our club. I mean, we stubbed our toe pretty good there at Utah and Arizona, and lost 4-6, and we just didn't buy into the fact that we weren't going to be great. You know, we came out and worked every day, talked about getting better. Everybody had to get better. I had to get better. The coaching staff had to get better. The players had to get better. And we just weren't going to take no for an answer. And, you know, these guys, the leadership on this club is off the chart. You know, I mean, you have people that push one another, enjoy playing with one another. And to see guys mature from the time they're here and become leaders is pretty cool.
Okay, Mike?
Just revisiting that battery between Abel and Rutschman. I mean, seeing them out there today, you're going to have them again next year. When you think about just the future of this team and the future of this program and how much those guys have matured this year, I mean, how excited and how hopeful you are just knowing that you're going to have them going forward?
Yeah, you know, there's some really good players that didn't get to play much this year because we had a class that was, you know, older juniors, and then we had Michael and Noby and those guys that were seniors. But there's some really good players. You know, Christian Chamberlain showed you guys, you know, he was 92 to 95 the other night in the World Series. He doesn't even know what he's doing yet. You know, this guy's going to be electric someday. And, you know, Fem didn't have a good World Series, but he's He won a lot of games at Oregon State in 3 years. He was a freshman All-American. You know, Preston Jones is going to be a good player. You know, just there's a lot of good guys there. There really are. Keton Abel's a Friday night guy. You know, I mean, there's no question about it. You got a chance to be a first-round guy, and you know, some other guys in the back end that didn't get a chance either. Some really good arms in there as well.
Okay, Aaron.
Coach, I know you've talked about this so many times, but how much do you think the way last season ended did fuel this run, and does it make it any sweeter when you've come that close and fallen short to then kind of get that, you know, to clear that last hurdle?
I think so, and I think the fuel started in these guys' freshman year in '16 when we weren't in the tournament. I mean, I sat there with those guys and looked at those guys, and you know, I said, "There's only one way to respond to that, man, and we make a decision." And those guys were committed to that. We came back last year and had the greatest season ever, and came here and played a really good LSU club, and didn't get it done. And you know, that didn't keep us from saying, let's do it again. I think I don't know what the record is this year. I think we won 55 games or something, and we won 56 last year. Maybe that's 111. You know, it's like I don't know. We won a lot of games in the last 2 years, and you know, it's all you know. I know it's a cliche that people use all the time about character and about the guys and about, but it's true. I mean, there is nothing that's going to come from anything if everybody is invested in one another. And once those guys realize that, and they realize I've got a guy to fall back on, you know, you take a guy like, we bring Grenier and Madrigal in, and I had a scout tell me, and they both came all, you know, one of those guys is going to leave because, you know, they both want to play shortstop. And I said, well, my job is to make them want to play the game together and become the best they can become, and give those guys a lot of credit for that. And Keton Abel coming here knowing we had a lot of starters back and just things like that. So it's a bond that they build. It's something that I don't think I could coach if I couldn't motivate young men to know that there's more to this than just laying underneath the bar and getting in the cage, you know. The bar meaning the weightlifting.
Teddy.
When did you realize that this junior class could be as special as it's been?
When they all showed up on campus when they were freshmen. You know, we knew how good Nick was and Grenier and those guys, and I knew that Larnach was. I told our radio guy, I think Trevor Larnach hit 143 his freshman year, and I told Mike Parker, this guy's going to put up Michael Conforto numbers, and he goes, guy grounds in a double play about every other day. I said, I know, but he's going to mature. This guy's going to put up Michael Conforto numbers, and you know, can't tell you how hard he worked to become that guy. And then there's pieces of the puzzle that people don't, you know. Everybody talks about, you know, how talented we are. What about Zach Taylor? You know, what about Stephen Kwan, who, you know, nobody recruited, and he became a big part. And how about not having Kwani tonight? You know, and Novak. You know, he's just a guy that, you know, I said, you know, you're way too smart to be plowing fields. Come play baseball for me. I'll get you an education. You know, and his dad said, we're just truck driver. You know, I said, well, that's why he comes. You know, and now Nobi became a huge part of this. Graduated, and Jack Anderson walked on and wanted to leave after his freshman year because he didn't think he could ever play here. So those are the stories, too, behind the scenes that are pretty good. And you got to give a lot of credit to the guys that are the superstars that treat them like they're superstars.
Okay, Mike.
Mike Patterson, World Herald. Coach, after the way last night's game ended, what was the confidence level going into tonight?
Same way it was when I went into game 2. I just believe in our club. And obviously, I think that the momentum, you know, I really believe the team that if you win the first game and you lose the second game, the pressure's on the team that won the first game. And, you know, we had the same scenario against North Carolina where we lost the first game of the series, came back, then we lost the first game of the championship series, down 5-0. Billy Rao, who's one of our undergraduate coaches, you know, hits a 3-run homer, and we're off to the races. And the next night, you know, I felt so good about the momentum that we had, and felt that the pressure was on them. And I felt that tonight. I felt like the pressure was on Arkansas and not us. And I can't tell you that I knew we were going to win. I could tell you that I knew we were going to play.
Okay, this will be the last question this session. Teddy.
When did you know Keton Abel was locked in tonight, and when did you realize that he was going to go 9 innings?
I never would have dreamed that he was going to go 9 innings. You know, I said last night I talked to Nate, and I said, Nate, if this guy gets us 4 innings, why would we not bring him to the, you know, well, I don't want him to come in if we're behind. If this is our best option to start, we had nobody else on this club has started a game other than Gambrell. So if we're going to get him for 5, let's make it the first 5, and then we can piece it together. Luke wanted to throw an inning. Obviously, Moley could throw an inning too. Gambrell could throw an inning, and Pierce could throw an inning, and then you know, Abel just kept coming in and saying, "This is the easiest I've ever thrown." He said, ball's just coming out of my hand. I'm relaxed. I'm loose. I have no stress." And I just said, "Well, all right." And you know, the 7th, I said to Nate, "We got to get." I think it was a 6 actually. They'll send somebody down the bullpen, and that's probably it for him. He wouldn't have any of it, so. It just said that, you know, if somebody gets on, we're going to pull you. And I don't think when was the last base runner they had?
Last 20. You retired the last 20.
You know what I mean? I mean, I just looked at the guy and I go, I know I should be taking you out of the game, but how can I do that? And that is because that club, Arkansas, is very good offensively, and they're a very good team. And you know, I give Dave a ton of credit because you know, he does such a great job. But Keton Abel locked him up. I mean, he absolutely locked him up. And he says his breaking ball wasn't working. He threw a couple breaking balls that were filthy. But his change is his second pitch, and it's got so much movement on it. And I think that's why he feels so good. There's no, you know, throw a change up, no pressure. And so, I mean, I just let it ride, and he took it home.